Hello there. Thank you for joining us on the program today. I'm Victor Matthias. As the fight against the dreaded coronavirus continues, northern Nigeria has had to, alongside fighting the virus, fight insecurity as bandits and insurgents have continued to launch attacks on innocent citizens. Though the military successfully repelled some of the attacks using ground and air forces, such attacks are still being recorded to the dismay of residents of these regions. On the program today, we will take a look at the measures being taken to forestall the attacks. Plus, we will be looking at the role technology has played in the fight against the coronavirus. But let's first take a breather and see what made the trends in the past week. Well, there you go. Those were the trends in the past week. Boy, you can be a part of the conversation from anywhere you are around the world. Just follow the conversation and tweet to at Channels TV, at Channels Beam, at Victor_MBIDI, hashtag insecurity, as well as hashtag Channels Beam. But let's get to meet those who are joining us today on the program to share some thoughts on this. We first of all have Adeku Ademola. He is a digital content creator, a writer, a good governance advocate, and a social political commentator. He joins us via Skype from Abuja. Demola, it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show today, Victor.
Indeed, you're welcome. We also have joining us right here in the Lagos studio, Namdi Chife. He is the managing partner, Chive GPS, a security intelligence and conflict resolution company based in Abuja. It's a pleasure to have you
Thanks
on
for
the
having
program
me.
today.
It's my pleasure.
Indeed. Well, so much has been going on. I mean, in fact, just before we came on air, there was the closed door meeting, between the president, service chiefs, and also governors of northeastern region. But how can we move past where we are, first and foremost?
Well, I've been studying the interventions by the federal government, the service chiefs and the National Security Advisor. They've all paid security visits or security tour to the northwest, the northeast. But I've not seen any comprehensive solution or comprehensive policy that is going to address the root cause of the problem. Now, in the northwest, you have a border with Niger. That's our weak link. In the northeast, you have a border with Chad. So these people have, on both sides, these neighboring countries serve as the real basis for launching attacks. Now, if you want to address a problem like the Boko Haram insurgency, for instance, you need to address the border security.
So where does this put the MNJTF?
Well, they are not particularly covering the entire. The border is quite huge. I'm not saying you should deploy 10,000 soldiers to man the border, but when you come up with a comprehensive, identify the legal routes wherever you can mount a patrol, then identify the illegal route. We have over 1,000 illegal routes. And the Air Force has been developing drone technologies for area surveillance, intelligence, surveillance, and recognition. So you can deploy what I call a technology buffer zone, whereby you use a lot of technology drones to patrol these borders. You have a a troop in place, like a patrol troop that will intercept incursions from those borders. Now, if you go to the northwest, the same thing with Niger Republic is an age-long smuggling route for all kinds of criminals. Now you are introducing the violent criminals. So these guys, they come all the way from Central Republic to Nigeria, and they
so necessarily they're not necessarily Nigerians.
most of them are not Nigerians, so they have that wide attitude to loot, to maim, and to occupy those territories that are not that are currently ungoverned. So we need a comprehensive border security in place.
I'll take you up on that, but let me quickly bring Demola into the conversation. Demola, Nnamdi here is saying that one of the reasons why we're having some of these attacks is the fact that the borders are kind of porous. But I mean, in your own estimation, why do you think we are yet to put these attacks on the wraps?
Okay, well, the factor that Nnamdi mentioned is actually a very, very critical one. While I understand that we have a problem of manning our borders from the northeast and from the northwest, which are open to two different countries that we all know that these countries also have a problem with terrorism. Apart from that, I also think that the sincerity and the commitment to fighting terrorism for this administration is a bit low. I mean, from all indications and from what we have seen so far. Apart from just having lots of hardware, military hardware being added to what we have on ground, I also think that we have a problem when it comes to intelligence. And for a war that is not so conventional, like the one that we are fighting currently, we would need more of intelligence, much more than we have. We need hardware. I'm not saying that hardware is not important, but I also feel like one of the best ways to actually fight an unconventional war is to have enough intelligence, which I think is what we currently lack at the moment. So
how do we gather that intelligence?
Well, I think that what we might need to do is to look at investing more in technology when it comes to technology and gathering intelligence, and also interagency cooperation is also should also be a very high priority. For me, when you say that intelligence, right? We having cooperation is not just interagency, but also internationally. We have countries on our left and we have countries on our side. These are countries that we ought to come together, you know, and have a common goal and a common understanding of how we want to, you know, exchange intelligence and gather intelligence and all of that. I mean, recently we saw how Chad Republic was at loggerheads with the Nigerian army, even based on the fact that we already have a joint task force, you know, fighting with those countries, the military of Chad, and they, you know, they're coming out to allege or, you know, place an allegation against Nigeria that we have a problem with sharing information and sharing intelligence. So I think that apart from just gathering intelligence, we also need to do a proper intelligence sharing with some of these countries that we share borders with, who also have this same problem that we are facing currently.
All right. So I see that you're very active on Twitter, and there was this hashtag that was trending today. I think it's No to American Boko Haram Scare or so, which is, you know, trying to say that the intel that the United States gave Nigeria that Boko Haram is trying to penetrate the southwest should not be regarded. I mean, I don't know if you saw that hashtag. I mean, so this is now citizens like you and I saying that people shouldn't be scared. What if it eventually happens? I mean, we now, the citizens, are the ones saying that people shouldn't be scared, that it's not true. Meanwhile, you're not really sure if it is or not. So this is also part of the things that you're talking about, intelligence. So which kind of intelligence should we be paying heed to and which shouldn't we?
Okay, so I think that it might be a very dangerous one for us to disregard intelligence reports from the U.S. Of course, we know that in every move made by the U.S. or any other government, I mean, especially the Western government, there's always a hidden agenda. I mean, that is public knowledge. However, that is not enough for us to disregard security warnings. Although when I first read about the reports that was saying that there's a possible entrance into the southwest by Boko Haram, and then I also read one that said something about Al Qaeda trying to come into Nigeria through our shores. I looked at the possibilities of these things, and the possibilities were actually very, very low. But then it's not enough for us to disregard security warning.
Okay.
And in the past, I can say categorically that the US have actually given us so much intel in the past, even before this administration, that we did not pay heed to. And then at the end of the day, what we were warned against eventually happened. So I do not think that it is enough for us to disregard. However, I think that the government should come out and properly clarify if this is something they believe in. This culture of silence as to intelligence is not something that we should encourage at all.
I'll come back to you in a bit, Demola. So, Nnamdi, earlier you talked about having a robust policy that would help. But I mean, one of the things that people talk about in Nigeria is not that the problem is not the policies. I mean, we have well thought out plans and policies. However, implementation is always the problem. So, I mean, if you're saying that we need to have that well thought out policy, that would be like, it's like we're going back 2 steps. But if indeed we should have, what do you think should be in the policy?
Well, I research on security a lot. If I want to tackle a security problem or an issue, I look at the roots. If mosquito is biting in your room, you should look at where the mosquito is coming from. Block the nets, insecticide, everything perfect. Now, if you talk about the Northwest or the Northeast, these problems are similar. You have foreign incursions. Now, what is the existence of the National Intelligence Agency? We have agencies in all the different parts of the world. In Niger, we have a station manager. So you have to conduct an intelligence operation within those foreign countries. You also have to deploy the necessary troops. When I say the necessary troops, you don't bring infantry. You don't bring the ordinary constable on the streets and ask him to go and fight banditry or insurgency. You need
like special forces?
You need a special forces. And when I mean special forces, you need to select them across joint operation, not just from the army. You can say, well, we are establishing a 10,000-man special forces to tackle banditry. You scout police, the army, the air force, the navy. There are volunteers who can come in, you train them, you provide them with not just AK-47, there are special equipment. You provide them with, you assist them with air support. For instance, if you have a unit or a battalion who is making 247 advancement, I'm not saying, like for instance, we have a super camp meant for Boko Haram insurgency. I don't think the super camp is very effective. You should have what we call, a general, a private military contractor called the doctrine of relentless pursuit. You don't just hold on and wait for them to come. You have to develop a robust plan. Are you going to focus on this area of responsibility? What assets are you going to use? If you are deploying 1,000 troops, are you going to dedicate an assault or a helicopter for them? You have to support it. You don't just, when you're under assault, you now call for Air Force backup. No, you call for, you must advance. You must advance with an air support. You must also send your intelligence, advanced intelligence to scout the area. So I prefer a specialist approach to some of these issues or security issues in the Northeast and Northwest. Not just, sending patrols, sending people who are not properly trained to tackle some of these problems.
I mean, but we understand that even from their training, that's majorly what they tell them that they're out for or they're signing up for. So
that's what they're signing up for. But infantry is different from asymmetric warfare. That's countering insurgency or countering terrorism. They are quite different. These terrorists, they embed with the population. You don't know who they are. So you need a specialist force.
All right. Let's hope that comes to place. But let's also quickly get Demola's last thoughts before we wrap this section. Demola, so just in wrapping up, what more do you think can be done differently, than what we have at the moment?
Okay, so like Nnamdi said, we can't fight terrorism without looking at the root causes, because it would look like we're just trying to cut the trees. You want to uproot the tree, you want to kill a tree, and we're just cutting the branches. And
all right, sorry, Demola, just hold it a bit. We need to take a quick break, and we'll come back to continue this discussion. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us our panelists right here in the Lagos studio as well as via Skype. And just before we went on the break, Demola was trying to tell us other ways that can be used to fight insurgents as well as bandits in the Northwest. But we have to go on that break. So let's quickly go back to Demola to wrap up his thoughts on that. Demola.
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, we cannot fight insurgency without looking at the root causes. We're looking at religious extremism. We are looking at lack of education. We're also looking at unemployment. We're looking at poverty. And these are actually the factors that come together to actually make the fighting of insurgency currently in the country very difficult. I feel like while we are trying to counter insurgency, via more training, via collaborations with other international agencies and other countries, and also looking at getting more hardware and also intelligence gathering and sourcing and sharing of information. I also feel like we need to go back to the root causes of this problem and also tackle them so that we can have a top-bottom approach to fighting insurgency in Nigeria. Because at the end of the day, we can't, be in war, the war front in the battlefield and, fighting while these guys are busy recruiting new people into the organization. So while we're trying to fight it from the top, where the war is visible, we also need to go back to the root causes of what brought about this war in the first place, and also treat them. So it has to be a top-bottom approach. And also, I think that the government also needs to be very sincere in its fight against insurgency. I mean, I saw a video recently where the governor of Borno State was actually accusing the military of intentionally sabotaging his entry into Baga. Also, although he has his reasons, and there are some other conspiracy theories around why that happened, you get. But then, I mean, it's public knowledge. A lot of people have talked about this thing. We've had even military men who are at the war front who have also talked about this. We've had generals who had recorded videos of how the war is being sabotaged in the Northeast and all of that. And we also have a few people who have also experienced it, who are civilians, who can tell you categorically that there's an economy in the Northeast. The economy came with the war, which is also a very normal thing. It happens. But what I think is that we need to actually, if the economy has to go, then we have to fight it at the expense of the lives of the people who live in the Northeast. So we need more sincerity in this fight against insurgency, banditry, and other form of violence across the country. The government needs to stay up and stop playing lip services to this very, very important aspect of nation building.
All right, so I was going to quickly just take you up on the fact that we're having people who have repented, from being Boko Haram insurgents, being given amnesty. And then, first of all, you train them, you rehabilitate them, and then you bring them back into the society, which a senator from that region has actually kicked against strongly. But I don't know, do you think it's actually a right step in the right direction, looking at the fact that we have the same policy in the Niger Delta region?
Okay, so here, you see, rehabilitating and reintegrating criminals or terrorists into the society or into our communities is actually not a new thing. It's not a new thing at all. I mean, this is done everywhere. There are times that, in order to fight insurgency, you might need to offer amnesty and, and all of these things. However, I think what we should actually focus on is the transparency of this program. This program is not a new program. I mean, it's something that actually happened across the world. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. I think the problem Nigerians actually have with this move is just the transparency part of the program. How transparent is this program? How are we sure that these people are really repentant? And how have we also pursued justice for victims? Because it's going to be a very difficult thing. Saying someone who is responsible for the death of your family members or your loved ones, back on the street like nothing happened. So I think that the government actually has to be sincere in terms of transparency of this program. And they also have to have a very solid way of communicating their policies to people, because this is what causes distrust between the government and the people. But as for the program, it's not a new thing. It happens everywhere.
All right, I have to say thank you for joining us today on the program and sharing your thoughts. Demola Adeko, social political commentator.
Thank you for having me on the show, Victor.
Indeed. Thanks once again. So, I mean, he just said that, you know, that program is not... So, is it effective if it's not new? If it's not new, is it effective?
Well, personally, I do not agree with the program. You know, countries that have done it relied on the fact that there was cessation of hostilities and also trying to now integrate people into the society who want to continue with their normal lives. You know, like the senator said, he has the information because he represents that community. There are some members of this rehabilitated sect that has gone back to warfare. You know, my take would have been they channel these resources to training the soldiers and their welfare, or channel the resources to the IDP camps and how to relocate them back to stability, not trying to rehabilitate active insurgents. I think they deserve to be in prison somewhere until government brings justice to them.
Well, let's hope that, Madam, I mean, let's just hope we just get to the root of the matter and solve this issue. But I have to say thank you as well.
Thank you so much.
Nadi Chife, for joining us today on the program.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the COVID-19 update as we round the program up, and we begin from last week's figures, where the week started on a rather slowly recorded figure. With Monday, we had 288, but things began changing as we recorded 304 on Tuesday, then over 100 more were recorded on Wednesday, where we had 457. The figures dropped again to 354 on Thursday and maintained over 400 cases recorded on Friday, 443, on Saturday, 453, and on Sunday, 437. That puts Nigeria's cases at 46,577, with 33,186 discharged, while 945 deaths have been recorded. On the African stage, South Africa has 545,476, followed by Egypt with 95,147, then Nigeria 46,577, like I just said. Ghana has 40,097, while Algeria has 34,155. Meanwhile, globally, the United States has recorded 5.054 million cases, followed by Brazil with 3.05 million, then India with over 2.2 million. Russia has the highest in Europe with 892,654, while South Africa has recorded 559,859 cases. Well, let's take a look at the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week.
The declaration by former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, that incumbent governor and candidate of the PDP in the September governorship election, Godwin Obaseki, isn't a threat to APC's victory, kicks off this week's most viewed videos.
How can it be a threat? A man who is not even eligible to contest the election, how can it be a threat? How can a snail be a threat in a race where tigers are involved?
Falling down 2 places in fourth is the plea of Nigerian girls stranded in Lebanon who are seeking to return home.
Please, we are pleading to you. Please help us. We want to go home as soon as possible. Our parents, they are panic. Our parents, they are in so much distress. Please, we want to go home as soon as possible as you can help us. We appreciate our embassy for helping us in all this while.
Third spot is taken by campaign trail of the APC in the September governorship election, hitting Esako to woo voters. In second, we have the destruction of the symbolic mace and other property at the Edo State House of Assembly complex. While for the second week running, the attack on Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum and his scathing response tops the chart as the most viewed video.
Well, there you go. Those were the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week, and that's where we wrap up the program this week. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. Keep maintaining the guidelines given by the NCDC to curb the spread of COVID-19 in Nigeria. Bye for now.